If you ever find yourself traveling in South Korea, make sure to pay a visit to the biggest island in the country. Located in the south of the mainland, Jeju Island is a favorite travel destination even among locals. If you have been in the mainland for quite a while, you'll be in for a treat once you land in this picturesque island. Jeju has a culture that is distinct from the rest of the country, being detached from the whole massive land where most Koreans live. They even have their own dialect, which is quite hard to understand, even for Koreans themselves. There are also a number of attractions that cannot be found in mainland South Korea. This can be attributed to the fact that the island was developed mainly for tourism purposes. Many Koreans were not allowed to travel outside the country until the late 1980s, and Jeju was the farthest they could get. A lot of surprises await you in this southern Korean gem. To prepare you, have a look at the top 10 places to visit in Jeju Island. Number 10. Jangmun Beach. Home to the annual Jeju International Surfing Competition, Jangmun Beach is a favorite Korean destination for surfers and surfing fans. Even though it is only around 500 meters long, what tourists enjoy aside from the waves is the pretty white sand that is mixed with red and grey pebbles. There is also a cave to the right side of the beach, which is a perfect backdrop to stunning photos for your Instagram feed. This particular spot is also famous as a filming location of many Korean dramas and movies. Jangmun Beach can be pretty crowded even in winter, as it is considered one of the best beaches in the whole South Korea. A workaround to this is coming here early in the morning or late in the evening for a swim or a stroll. If you're not into surfing or want to separate yourself from the big crowds, you can do people watching from a cliff top, which gives the best aerial view of the beach and the horizon. Number 9. Jeju Stone Park. If you want to know a thing or two about the rich cultural heritage of the island, check out the Jeju Stone Park. Here, you can find interesting looking rocks and sculptures that play a part in the island's myths and folklore. For example, there's a rock sculpture the locals call the Dol Harryobang, or grandfather rocks, that they believe to be protecting the island by warding off evil spirits. These rocks are formed by nature itself, from the eruption of volcanoes on the island. You can get little versions of these rock sculptures as souvenirs from the island. Inside the park, you will learn myths about each one of the rocks. All of them are connected in an elaborate story about the creation of the island. Number 8. Daepo Haean Jusangjeolli Cliff. If you have the chance to be in southwest part of the island, check out this spectacular rock formation called the Jusangjeolli Cliff. Formed by lava from the Hallasan mountain around 250,000 years ago, this rock pillar is now considered a natural monument. You can spend your time here watching or taking pictures of large waves crashing against the stairs-like formation during high tides. It is one of the best creations of nature given the perfect hexagonal shapes of the pillars that give the impression that they were carved intentionally to perfection. Number 7. Hallim Park. Two more natural wonders formed by volcanic activity in the island are Manjanggul Cave and Jeongbang Cave inside Hallim Park. Just a few minutes away from the city center of Jeju Island, Hallim Park is where Jeju's culture and nature come together. Hallim Park has many attractions open to the public. You can explore lava tubes and limestones inside these two famous Jeju caves. You can walk through 9 gardens where you're introduced to the rich flora on the island. Make sure not to miss the folk village near the bonsai garden, where you can view traditional houses and learn a few things about the island's culture. At the village, there's a restaurant that sells Korean food. You can also drink beer here or have some ice cream. Some of the gifts you can get from the park are herbal teas they sell in an herb cafe. Number 6. Jeongbang Waterfall. Chasing waterfalls is a popular activity in Jeju, but among all the waterfalls in the island, the most famous one is Jeongbang. Found on the outskirts of Seogwipo, Jeongbang's water falls directly from the top of a rocky cliff into the ocean below. In the entire Asian continent, Jeongbang is the only one that does that. That should be enough reason for you to see this natural wonder for yourself. You can come closer to the waterfall by skipping over some beautiful loose rocks, just ready to get wet. Make sure to wear comfortable footwear because the rocks are slippery. Strike a cool pose with the loose rocks as your foreground and the cascading glory behind you as the backdrop. The result will be gorgeous. Number 5. Manjanggul Cave. Manjanggul Cave is estimated to be around 150,000 years old and is one of the largest and longest lava tube caves in the world. Lava tubes are formed when lava from beneath the ground flows up to the surface and hardens. It forms a crust, but when the lava keeps flowing up, it results in a hollow tunnel. Manjanggul Cave stretches for 9 kilometers and is 30 meters high and 23 meters wide. There is a trail inside the cave from where you can view and take pictures of the astonishing stalagmites and stalactites of the cave. The cave is softly lit, enough for tourists to enjoy the magnificent creation of nature and not to disturb the wildlife inside, like bats flying around at the same time. The tour will end with a view of one of the grandest lava columns you will ever see. It stands at the end of the tunnel and is a unique structure that stands almost 8 meters high. Number 4. Udo Island. Just one ferry ride away from the village of Seongsan in eastern Jeju, you will be welcomed by the rural beauty of Udo Island. Udo literally means cow, because the shape of the island resembles that of a lying cow. The island has a simple but very warm and welcoming feel to it. The source of income of people living in the island is agriculture and tourism. Surrounded by beautiful beaches and breathtaking rock cliffs, many tourists find their way to this island. Udo is a small lava plateau, and it will take you 3 to 4 hours to circle the whole island on a bike. Many Koreans say that Udo is Jeju's mini version. It's impossible to see all of Jeju in a few days, even on a car, but you can do that in Udo on a bicycle and get the same view of scenic landscapes and natural wonders. Number 3. Seongsan Ilchulbong. Also known as the Sunrise Peak, Seongsan Ilchulbong is one of the main attractions in Jeju Island. This unique geographical feature is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Seongsan in Korean means a castle-shaped hill, and Ilchulbong is a high point from where you can view the sunrise. Seongsan Ilchulbong is a tough cone formed from volcanic eruption underneath the sea. Jagged rocks form the edge of the crater, but instead of lava, the inside of the cone is a bowl-shaped field of green. At the bottom of the cone are magnificent rock formations created by the eruption. It is a tradition for Koreans to watch the first sunrise of the new year together for good luck, so expect that this is a blockbuster destination on New Year's Day. Yearly, a sunrise festival is held here. The crater's height and its location, being the most eastern part of the island, means the sun rises here first and offers the best view of it. Number 2. Jeju Folk Village. Jeju Folk Village is just one of the many places in Jeju where the traditions of old Korea are well preserved to this day. Experience how people lived in the villages from hundreds of years ago in the clay houses found in the area. Some of the houses and structures here are 100 to 300 years old, while others were recreated with the purpose of preserving the rich culture of the island. Historians and preservationists were consulted when they were building the village. You can watch performances inside the village and buy some arts and wares from traditional craftsmen. You can experience fishing villages, mountain villages, and shaman villages as if you walked back in time. You can even try the native wedding outfits in the wedding halls they're also recreated. If you're familiar with Korean culture through their dramas and movies, the experience here is like being a start of your own movie set in the past. If not, this is a great way to encounter the foreign Korean culture face to face. Number 1. Mount Hallasan. You should not skip Mount Hallasan when you are in Jeju. Well, it's hard to miss anyway. Wherever you are in the island, you have a view of the peak of the now dormant volcano that is responsible for most of the rock formations and caves on the island. You can experience the volcano up close by trekking up to the peak. It will not take you more than a day climbing up and down, since the trail is only 10 kilometers long. If that still seems too long for you, there is a trail up the Seongsan mountain, a much shorter one. You can reach the peak and enjoy the views from up above after only an hour. Mount Hallasan is in the center of the Hallasan National Park and houses species of flora and fauna that cannot be found anywhere else in the country. In one of the trails, you will pass by Baingnokdam, a crater lake right in the middle of the national park. A trip to Jeju's exotic landscape is something you should not pass up when planning a trip to Asia. The experience of setting foot on the natural wonders of Jeju is an experience you cannot get elsewhere, even in the South Korean mainland. It is an entire world on its own, with a different culture that is a result of isolation and distance from the rest of its motherland. It is not a tragic thing though. If any, it is magical and surreal thing to belong in one country and have extremely different cultures.